Hello Optimal Athletes. In this video we'll be going over how to run a sub 20 minute 5k. We'll talk about everything from training to race day execution to reach that milestone. If you love my videos but a marathon is more your distance that you're training for, these videos here might be more helpful for you. And as always, if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment on what you'd like for me to cover next. Now let's get into the video. So, what is required to run a sub 20 minute 5k? Luckily the maths is pretty simple with this one. You need to run a 3:59 per k or 6:26 per mile for the duration of the race. Ideally you want to be at a level where you can run a 22 or 22.5 minute 5k before you start training for your sub 20. First, before you think about your training, you need to pick a date, event or race for when you want to run your 5k. The 5k distance is quite an easy one to plan, as you can easily plan an uninterrupted route without having to enter a formal race. There are a few ways to do this. One option is setting a date to do a 5k time trial in your own time, and this can be either done on a mapped out route at your local running track or park. Another way of planning for this is to enter a local park run on a Saturday. Park runs are free, organised 5k races that run every Saturdays in local areas. This can be a really easy way to do it without having to plan a route out or put too much thinking into it. And finally, the last method is to enter a planned running event. For example, many marathons or half marathons also run 5k running events. These are usually run on the road and have large fields, so this may help you get into the mindset of racing with large groups of people to run with. For a sub 20 minute 5k, you ideally want to be training around 8 to 10 weeks. You should run 4 to 5 times a week, where you'll be doing a range of easy, threshold, VO2 max and long runs. You probably want to run around 40 to 65 k's or 28 to 40 miles a week for those weeks. The easy runs will be your standard easy runs, where you'll be running to no set pace. Your main focus should be to give your legs a nice rest while getting some reps in your legs. Generally, you want to be able to maintain a conversation in full sentences in these runs. For your harder sessions, you'll want to do a range of runs at your 5k race pace, as well as paces faster than your race pace to get you used to running at those faster paces. Some examples of faster sessions can either be 6x1k efforts at your race pace with a 60 to 90 second walk recovery, 3x2 km efforts at your race pace with a 2 minute walk recovery, and 12x400 meter reps at faster than race pace with 45 to 90 second walk recovery in between sets. The number of repetitions and amount of rest you will have will vary as you progress along with your training. And even during a 5k training plan, having a good aerobic base is really important. So for those long runs, you want to be still running 14 to 18 k's or 9 to 11 miles. Having great aerobic capacity means that it will give you the ability to have a good kick at the end of the race when your legs are starting to feel like jelly. Let's take a look at some example weeks of a 10-week training plan where you're running 5 times a week. In week 2, you'll have 2 8k or 5 mile easy runs on Mondays and Wednesdays. On Tuesday, you'll have a VO2 max session where you're running faster than 5k race pace. This may look like a warm up with strides, 8x400 meters with 90 second walk rest, and then a cool down. Then on the Thursday, you'll have a faster session running at race paces. An example session might be a 5x1k repeat at race pace with a 2 minute walk rest with a warm up and cool down. And lastly, on the Saturday, you'll do a 14k or 9 mile easy long run. Let's now take a look at week 9 of your training plan. You'll keep your easy runs on the Monday and Wednesday. On Tuesday, you'll also keep your VO2 max session, but you may do 12 lots of 400 meter repeats at faster than race pace with a 45 second walk rest. Your Thursday session could look similar with 3x2k efforts at race pace with a 60 second walk rest. Your week will then end with an 18k or 11 mile easy long run. So as you can see from these examples, training for a 5k race is not that complicated. If you want to, you can keep things nice and simple and just adjust the number of sets you complete, the amount of rest you have, and your distance of your long runs. As we always say, optimal performance coaching, keep things simple as possible. Next, let's take a look at race day nutrition. Luckily for you, there is very little to consider from a nutrition perspective when racing a 5k. The race is so short that you won't need to take any gels or fluids during the race. However, you may want to consider taking a gel 15 to 20 minutes before the race, but this is not a must. But it's always a good reminder to always maintain good hydration and eat good foods during your training. The gear is also very straightforward. You don't need to worry about having something to carry your gels or water bottles. Generally, you'll need a racing top, whether it's a singlet, t-shirt or a short sleeve depending on the weather, shorts, socks and shoes. I always think it's nice to wear some specific racing shoes during your races when you're trying to run a PB. And if you're unsure which shoes are right for you, check this video out. Lastly, the race day execution is one of the most important things when wanting to run that sub 20-minute 5k. If you go too hard at the start, I can almost guarantee you will have a miserable race. For a 5k race, there are two approaches you can take. One approach is to hold steady for the first 4k's at your race pace, or a second or two slower, and then have a big kick in the last kilometre. Another approach to take is to run the first kilometre around 5 seconds slower than your goal pace, run the next 3k's at or 1 to 2 seconds faster than your goal pace, and then do a strong kick in the last kilometre. Either approach is fine, it just depends on whether you like to settle into a race a little bit more or whether you're comfortable running at your goal pace from the get-go. The last thing I would recommend for race day is to consider running with someone who is faster than you to pace you. This may just make things a little bit easier when you're having a miserable time. And there you have it, Optimal Athletes. That's most of the things you'll need to know to go out there and to run a sub 20-minute 5k. If you want more videos like this, or you want me to go into more detail into the training, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. And as always, be active, be optimal. Until next time.